These are obviously very serious allegations and they should be treated seriously. Our government absolutely wants to make clear, as we do in all workplaces across the country, that people are entitled to work free of harassment or discrimination. However, people are also entitled to the presumption of innocence in Australia, and I am very concerned that Mr Abbott is behaving more like the leader of a lynch mob than the leader of the Liberal Party. That's not how our legal system works in Australia. People are entitled to make allegations, but people are entitled to defend those allegations as well. And I would urge people to let this process now be undertaken so that both parties, or all parties, are able to have their rights protected. Over to you.
What about the pending legal action against the Commonwealth? How do you respond to that?
Well, obviously, any employment matter like this, the Commonwealth is a big employer, those matters should be dealt with appropriately. As the Labor Party, we have fought long and hard to make sure that people are protected in their workplaces, that they're protected from discrimination, that they're protected from harassment. But we've never shied away from the fact that if allegations are made, there's then a proper process that should be gone through, whether that's a process that involves the employer, whether it's a process that involves the courts, whether it's a process, as with some of the other allegations, that might involve the police. Those processes should continue. Otherwise, there's no point having a legal system if we actually just have trial by media or trial by the Liberal Party making accusations. That's actually not the right way to deal with what are serious matters that have been raised.
Have you actually sought advice on whether it is appropriate for him to stay in the chair while these serious civil matters are being dealt with? That's obviously what the opposition has been going on about today.
Well, look, I haven't sought that advice. It's not something that's particularly within my role. The important fact here is Mr Slipper himself has said that these allegations are serious. He strenuously denies them. He should be entitled to the opportunity to defend those claims made against him. Appropriately, he stood aside from his office role, the office of the Speaker in the Parliament, and obviously is keen that these matters be dealt with quickly. That's appropriate, but it's now appropriate that everybody be entitled to have these matters heard through a normal process which should not be politicised. And we don't have in Australia trial by media, we have trial by our courts, and with our police involved, or with civil litigation being able to continue. That's what should be allowed to happen here. And I don't think Mr Abbott, acting as the leader of the lynch mob, is doing the Parliament or the Liberal Party, or indeed the traditions of the Liberal Party, any good.
Is there any chance that he will return to the Speaker's chair while the civil matters, I mean, if the cab charge thing were to be cleared up and there were still civil matters, is there any chance he'll return to the chair?
Well, look, have a look at the history here. Civil claims are made against people often. They were made against Mr Turnbull when he was a minister. They've been made against other ministers when they've been in office. There currently are some pending against Liberal senators as we speak. There's been no suggestion whatsoever that in that past that the ministers should have stood aside, or in fact that current senators should stand aside. So let's not have a double standard here. Mr Abbott is calling for this because he can see the political advantage in it. He's not calling for this because he cares about the process. From our perspective, we want everyone to have their rights protected. Allegations are serious, they should be pursued, but let's not have a double standard that applies if you're Mr Slipper and doesn't apply if you're a minister in a Liberal government.
Are all double
He's done a good job in his role so far?
Well, I think he's been a strong speaker, actually. He's kept everybody in line, our side included. That's important in the Parliament where there is robust debate to be had. But this is not actually a day or an occasion where we are providing a debate or debating the merits of his role as the Speaker. Allegations have been made and he has stood aside from that role while those allegations are properly pursued. He is going to strenuously defend them. That's his right. Every other Australian is entitled to that right. We have to be very careful that we don't get into a situation where there is a perverse incentive for people to make claims against someone in high office because this new rule is suddenly going to apply that you can't continue with your job in the meantime. That would be bad for our country, that would be bad for civil processes, and it would actually, I think, provide a very dangerous, perverse incentive for people to be able to make these sorts of claims if the automatic rule was a minister or a public figure should stand aside. Let's let the process be worked through. There's a way of handling it properly. Everyone hopes that that will happen quickly, and I think that Mr Abbott should stop this lynch mob mentality and get on with being the leader of the Liberal Party.